What's something that mentally and emotionally broke you? Story 1. I once got engaged to the love of my life, and the very next day, she was gone. There were no drugs or alcohol involved. She was fine one moment and sick the next. Less than 24 hours after we got engaged, she passed away. It was meningitis that took her life. We had spent an amazing day together, but later she started experiencing symptoms. Her legs went numb and her back hurt. We rushed to the hospital as her school had just had a presentation on meningitis symptoms. The doctor performed tests, but everything came back negative, so we went home thinking it was okay. But at 2 a.m., I woke up to find her covered in sweat and turning blue. I immediately carried her to the car and drove back to the hospital, but she stopped breathing before we arrived. She never regained consciousness. Her organs failed, her body shut down, and a doctor had to call it. They asked me if I wanted the engagement ring, but her body has swollen so much that they had to cut it off. I couldn't bear to have it in one piece, so I told them to keep it. It's been hard, but lately I've been thinking more about our first days together than the last one. It's tough to tell if it makes it better or worse, but relationships are hard. When things get too good, there's a compulsion to pull away for self-preservation. There's no making it through another round of that. If there's anything to take away from my experience, it's to pay attention to how you feel and listen if someone tells you something is wrong with them. And tell people that matter to you how you feel as often as you can. Story 2. I was in therapy, feeling extremely anxious about my child's upcoming birthday party due to my serious anxiety issues. My therapist suggested that I imagine the worst thing happening, and once the party was over, I would realize that everything was okay. On the day of the party, I received an out-of-state call from a coroner. My mom was found dead in her apartment. An investigation was conducted, and it was determined that she had a diabetic episode, hit her head on the kitchen counter, bled out, and died. An hour later, my friend arrived, hysterically crying, indicating that she had just received a call that her own mother had died as well. I was numb and broken, and life has never been the same since. Story 3. Watching my grandmother on my mom's side go through hospice was one of the most emotionally difficult experiences of my life. I had hoped to spend some time with her and comfort her because the year before, my other grandmother died unexpectedly and I never got to say goodbye. But as each day passed, my grandmother slowly lost her ability to think and communicate properly, to the point where it felt like her mind was already gone. The worst part was hearing the sounds she made, like she was drowning in her own body as she was close to death. It was heartbreaking to watch someone I loved so much just fade away mentally and physically. I will never forget the weight she lost in those last few days. It was a painful reminder of how fleeting life can be, and how important it is to cherish the time that we have with those we love. Story 4. One of the scariest experiences I had was not receiving the medical attention I knew I needed and not feeling heard by my medical professionals. I had an extreme case of Campylobacter food poisoning, which is fairly common, but it presented abnormally in me. When I went to the ER in urgent care, doctors kept telling me that I was probably just pregnant, even though it was impossible at the time. I begged for tests to be done, but they were denied. I couldn't eat or drink anything because I would immediately start cramping and fainting. This went on for a week before I found an ER that did a CT scan and test that discovered the bacteria. I genuinely thought I was dying. The experience left me feeling scared and frustrated, and I know now the importance of advocating for oneself in medical situations. Story 5. I used to enjoy baking, and I thought I was decent at it. I mostly followed recipes, but I would tweak them to try and improve. Most of my friends seemed to respond positively, and not just in a being nice way. They would actually ask when was the next time I'd be making their favorite baked goods. But one day, the person I trusted most wanted to hurt me and said that I wasn't that good. They claimed that people were just being nice about my baking, and that the standard pre-made stuff was better. They even said that my tweaks made things worse. This hurt me deeply, and I haven't really baked since. It just killed any love that I had for it. I still enjoy cooking, but the desire to bake died that day. Story 6. 10 years ago, I was falsely arrested for driving under the influence. I was acquitted, but the whole process broke me. I had always defended cops in the judicial system, but experiencing it firsthand changed my perspective. After the arrest, I was fired from my job as a bar manager for a huge homeowners association near Yosemite. I lost everything I owned. My house was foreclosed, my car was stolen and destroyed, and all my belongings were sold in a storage auction. The district attorney kept prolonging the trial while my court-appointed lawyer pushed me to plead guilty. I had to show up to court every time, and it felt like nobody cared about my innocence. They just wanted to maintain their conviction rate. After 5 years, I was found not guilty by a jury in just 10 minutes. However, no lawyer would take my case when I tried to sue. I've become a different person since this happened. I hate going anywhere. I don't trust anyone. And I hate cops and courts. I don't trust them to keep us safe. It's all a business to them. Cops make arrests to increase their sales, and the courts made sure they get paid. Story 7. I was going through the beginnings of a divorce, unbeknownst to me. It was March 2020, and my birthday just happened to be on the day they announced the initial COVID lockdown. I got home late from work, and my wife at the time had done nothing for my birthday. I was in my 30s, didn't really care anymore anyways, but no card, no gift, not even a mention of my birthday, and she'd eaten the last of my post-work meals. And of course, everything is shut down and closed early, so I go off trying to find a gas station for a protein bar. I'm not really that put out, it's par for the course. But I wake up early next morning to take care of our 6-year-old. He's autistic, and emotional connection isn't always the highest on his priority list. But I'm in his room at 5 in the morning, and he says, "Daddy, it was your birthday yesterday. How come you didn't get any presents?" I made something up, and he asks, "Will you get any today?" "Probably not, pal. But it's okay. Grown-ups don't really celebrate birthdays like kids do." He goes into his closet, gets all his construction paper, and starts taping it together. Then he starts wrapping up his own toys and arranges them in a pile of presents. He says, "This is for you, Daddy." And he and I opened up presents for my birthday. I don't remember a lot of my birthdays, but I remember this one. Story 8. I remember growing up and seeing my parents fight every single day, and it was really tough to watch. But what was even more heartbreaking was when I saw my dad crying during one of their arguments, and I had to intervene and try to comfort him. Seeing tears on my dad's face was something that really broke my heart that day. But it wasn't just my dad who was affected. During another argument, my mom was crying herself to sleep every night, and when I tried to comfort her the next day, she freaked out and started acting like she was scared of us. It was really tough to see my parents go through all of this, and it's something that has stuck with me for a very long time. Story 9. I've been emotionally broken since I was little. Never once had a friend, so I have no idea what a friendship is like outside of what I see in movies and TV. I'm incredibly lonely. I'm an only child and have lived with my parents for my entire life. I'm emotionally stunted and a teenager in an adult body. It's incredibly difficult for me to live, especially when I live in a poor rural area of the country. I tried medicine and therapy at one point, but it didn't click with me because I have no idea how to talk to people. I think this is something that's pretty permanent. It's disabling to the point where I can't work. I feel so alone, and I wish I had a way out. Thank you for watching our video on the topic of what mentally and or emotionally broke you. We hope you found the stories thought-provoking and insightful. If you have any similar experiences or thoughts that you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more chilling content. And remember, stay vigilant and trust your instincts. We'll see you in the next one.